Well, they found a dead cat behind the trash can, and my mom said that I killed it.
Okay. And were you involved in the death of the cat?
Yes.
Why?
I was going through a rough time. It was a rough period in my life. Like, I just lost a child. My ex was cheating on me. It was a lot to go through, and I wasn't sure how to like cope with it. So I kind of just went on a rampage. I just can't deal with it.
You don't plan on, can you say that part again?
I don't plan on having children after this because I don't want to have another situation like this happen.
And you heard correctly, ladies and gentlemen, Mandalorians. She won't have a baby again because she does not want to kill more of her family's pets. You can't make it up. But that's not the offense for which she is serving in prison. She, it seems, likes to light things on fire, likes to burn things that belong to her mother when she needs to lash out. And they finally said, enough destruction, enough killing of pets, enough burning of vehicles and homes. You're going to spend some time in prison. Now, what I think is most fascinating about these kind of parole hearings is not just the crime that the person commits to get there, but the complete lack of insight, the complete lack of remorse, the complete lack of empathy or the ability to think about anyone but themselves as the victim. And we are going to see that showcase here on full display. So with that, let's buckle up and jump in.
Blanche Mary Valdez, 447488.
Thank you. This hearing is being conducted in consideration of the parole application for Falange Barrett Valdez, inmate number 447488. She's serving a sentence of 5 years, execution suspended after 30 months with 3 years probation for violation of protective order, arson third, and burglary third. As of today, records reflect parole eligibility date of June 12, 2025. There is victim input in the case. There's an offender accountability plan for the offender has been reviewed, shows she's completed the warrant. Utilizing one of the offender's overall score for acidity falls into the moderate range. This is your opportunity to tell the board why you believe you should be granted parole. You may begin.
Thank you for the opportunity. Being incarcerated definitely opened my eyes. By looking back, I see how my actions can have a ripple effect on society, good or bad. I've learned if I'm not growing, I'm dying, and I've made the commitment to myself to become stronger from my feelings. I've been working with the core program to become a better steward of my resources.
Ms. Barrett?
Yep.
Could you slow down a little bit in your speech? Okay, I'm trying to.
My bad.
That's all right. Go ahead.
I've learned if I'm not growing, I'm dying, and I've made the commitment to myself to become stronger from my failings. I've been working on budgeting with the core program to become a better steward of the resources I allocate, as well as working on my focus to avoid situations by effectively communicating and maintaining my job. My motivations are to reinstate my license, be financially independent, and work on my credit score.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for that opening statement. We do appreciate it when you take the time to prepare something before the hearing. So the way this is going to work is we're each going to take turns asking questions of you based on the documents that were available to us. And then we will discuss your case after we hear from the Office of Victim Services. And you'll have our decision this morning. Are you ready to proceed?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, we're going to begin with my colleague, Mr. Holt.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning.
Morning.
So I heard you accept responsibility for your actions, and that you see it as a ripple effect, good or bad, depending on what we're doing out there, right?
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about what was going on out there? What was happening? Why was that going on?
I had just recently got out of a really bad relationship. I got kicked out. I was out in the cold. I just wasn't sure what my next step was going to be. So I kind of just took it out on whatever was in front of me without thinking about it.
And what do you think about what you did now?
I think it was stupid. I should have thought it out. I could have went to a warming center or something. There's a lot of different ways that I could have handled that situation.
Okay, and then, you talked about the core program. Can you
Yeah.
talk a little bit about how that helped with your understanding of what you did and how things might have changed there?
Well, the officers basically like mentored me for a little bit. It definitely helped me just kind of like reevaluate myself and not be so mad at the world for my circumstances. Like my circumstances are my problem. They're my fault. And it's like my responsibility to like make sure I'm in a safe environment anyways. So I couldn't really put the blame on anyone else. And they kind of helped me see that.
Okay, and so when you go into, how often do you meet with core?
Twice a week.
Okay, and how long have you been doing that?
Couple months, I think since like February or March.
Okay, so that's a good period of time. That's like, what, 6, 7 months ago?
Yeah.
So during the course of that time, you had a problem in 2024 with picking up a whole lot of disciplinary reports.
Yeah.
That went right up through December. And then you picked up one additional one in March.
Yeah.
So was there a difference there because you were in core, or what changed so that you
I
stopped?
think the way I was looking at my situation, I couldn't really like blame anyone. And also working on my communication, like learning how to communicate instead of just going to battle it out at first. Like just learning how to talk with my words.
So was part of core talking about these past ERs and how you
Yeah.
might do something differently?
Yeah, most definitely. We kind of did like a little coaching, like if you got in a problem, what would you do and how would you talk about it, kind of thing.
Um, so that's a really good thing. How do you think you take that out to the community with it?
Well, you don't get into confrontation, that's for one, like, and definitely like whenever I'm having, like if I'm at work or something and I'm having like a disagreement with someone, I feel like I know how to hash it out now versus just like walking away all flustered and stuff like that. Like we can have differences and still talk it out.
Right. And that's good. Those are skills to use. But what I'm talking about is you have a certain support with core. That coming out here, how do you think you maintain that support?
I mean, I have my church family and my real family that are there willing to like embrace me once I leave here. And that's kind of like the first place I want to stop by just to make sure I'm rooted.
Okay, so a couple of the programs that you were supposed to take was anger management, which to me, it sounds like you've learned to develop some skills to deal with that. And it's really looks like um, you've been able to put that into practice because 10 DRs in 2024 and then one in 2025. Seems like, and that one there was 6 months ago, and you've had something in its place since then.
Yeah,
So does that make sense to you?
yeah, it definitely helped me out. It gives me something to do also, like, I'm not just sitting around idle, so like, my mind is kind of entertained.
Okay, and so either way, when you come out, either parole or probation, there's an officer that's there,
Mhm.
and he or she has the ability to help with the same kind of thing
Okay,
and get you to see if there's some other kind of program there like this. This community has a lot of resources and they're pretty aware of what's going on. So you'd be open to something like that?
yeah, most definitely.
Would you be able to ask? Do you feel comfortable asking for what you need? Advocating
Yeah.
for yourself?
Of course.
Okay, good. And then, the other piece here, the other program that's on your OAP is Voices. Okay, and Voices has to do with your impact on others in institutions, society, community. Because of what you do of a criminal nature.
Hmm.
So can you reflect for me as to how you see, specifically, how you see your actions affecting others from what you've done, and how you would handle things differently? And you have addressed it somewhat already. I just want you to talk about it a little bit more.
Definitely, like, I feel like my actions kind of hindered other people's ability to like trust other people, just in general. Like, I went inside someone's building and try to like burn a fire. Like, I would feel kind of unsafe if that happened to me. So I kind of like look back at that and kind of like regret it. Me and my mother's, like, even though she forgave me, I feel like our relationship was kind of strained at first because of it. Um, yeah, I don't, yeah,
So it's not wanting to cause that, right?
yeah,
That's an important thing. So, seeing how our actions, and you said it about ripple effects, and you can go out there and be supportive and do something with that, right?
yeah,
And when you really look at where you've been, your criminal record isn't that extensive.
yeah,
So there's opportunities to do other things.
yeah, definitely.
So what do you think you do for employment when you come out?
Excuse me?
What do you think you do for employment when you come out?
Oh, I have a friend that works in Windsor right now. I was thinking about asking her to ask her hiring manager to hire me. If
And
not,
where-
I'll go to Amazon or something.
And what's up there?
I don't know. I think she works in a factory or something.
Okay. Or you would go to Amazon.
Yeah.
You ever think about going to school?
Honestly, I want to buy property. I was thinking about making a business plan and asking for a business loan.
Um, So, and I guess the last thing is the one thing that you really want to pay attention to, and you've started to address it, is one of the biggest things on the evaluation that you were given. One of the biggest areas of concern was anger and hostility. So, continue to address that, right?
Yeah.
Because if you let it get to your head, you wind up sitting where you're sitting.
Yeah. Well, I was also thinking about going to the gym kind of like as a coping mechanism also, just kind of like blow some steam out on top of going to church.
Nice. You go to the gym in here?
Yeah.
I'm sure I don't.
So, Ms. Barrett Valdez, when did you and your mom speak, and when did the forgiveness part come?
I took a couple of months, but like we were always talking. At first, when I first came to jail, I wasn't talking to her. So it took a couple of months for me to even get the courage to call her. So, and then like after that, it was kind of like it took a couple of months to like kind of just get over it and just talk like and have a regular relationship.
What did your apology consist of?
I can't say I really apologized, but I was kind of like it wouldn't happen again. Like I'm remorseful that it happened, like, but it's not gonna happen again. Like I plan on changing my actions after this. Like I've definitely learned a hard lesson after being in jail, not being able like dreaming about going to the kitchen and waking up and not being able to go to the kitchen. It's like I realize I've taken a lot of things for granted, a lot of freedoms for granted. So it's kind of like, yeah, I learned a hard lesson. Like, let's not do the same thing over again.
Well, I know at sentencing you didn't offer an apology, and you're telling us that you still haven't apologized. Why is that? Because
I'm not
usually
sure.
an apology comes before forgiveness.
Yeah. Well, I think it like came up, but like it wasn't something I was like conscious of. You know what I mean? Like I'd probably apologize, but I wasn't like, I don't know. Like
Maybe
she
it's
forgave
something-
me.
Maybe it's something to go back and think a little bit more about. What was the impact on her?
Well, she definitely well, I can't live with her. So like that definitely like she's getting older. So like it's definitely had a big impact on her where she's kind of like this was kind of a bad call on your part.
Sure, she was scared. She probably had some expense to deal with the car having gasoline poured over it.
Yeah.
So in some documents, it says that, this was your expression of anger, that, as you said today, you didn't have housing and you, I guess, felt abandoned.
Yeah.
And then in other documents, it says that you set these fires for fun. So help me understand which was going on.
It was kind of more like, okay, so my mom's car I was mad about, and then the other one I was kind of like, I was cold and mad, so I just went in there and like set a fire. You know what I mean? It wasn't. I'm not justifying it or anything, but I definitely like. I don't know. I just wasn't feeling the safest.
And I'm not sure how setting the fires would actually help address feeling unsafe, because you actually create risk
Unsafe.
and danger to everybody else. You referred to it as stupid, but it was in fact incredibly dangerous.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, you set a car on fire and it can explode,
Yeah.
Between the battery and the fuel tank, it could be catastrophic.
Yeah.
And one of the things that really stood out for me in your crime is that this was not on impulse. You had to put gasoline in a water bottle, Poland Springs water bottle, to pour that gasoline on your mom's car.
Yeah.
And then in the building, you went and acquired a bottle of lighter fluid. So
Yeah,
it wasn't like you went in the building and there were just flammable things and you set the fire, but there was so much intent behind your crimes that that's really concerning to me. When we make this decision in light of the interests of public safety,
yeah,
you've taken responsibility, you haven't taken the program that would help you understand the experience of the people victimized by your crimes, and you're telling us you really haven't apologized. So those are things that concern me. Tell me about the animal cruelty charge out of Hartford. What was behind that?
Well, they found a dead cat behind the trash can, and my mom said that I killed it.
Okay, and were you involved in the death of the cat?
Yes.
Why?
I was going through a rough time. It was a rough period in my life. Like, I just lost a child. My ex was cheating on me. It was a lot to go through, and I wasn't sure how to like cope with it. So I kind of just went on a rampage, and I apologize for that. And I'm not saying it was right. I definitely look back at that, and I regret it. I'm not proud of my actions. But yeah, it was a hard time to deal with.
I'm sorry for the things that you've suffered from, but at the same time, it's very hard to understand that a reaction would be to harm an innocent animal
I know.
and take its life.
I know.
I really hope you'll work to make amends to your community for the harm that you've caused. I heard you say you want to get your license, you want to improve your credit score. Please add to that list. Identify ways to volunteer your time and your energy to give back to your community for the harm.
And to be honest, I don't even plan on having kids after that. 'Cause I just don't want to have another situation like this. I just can't deal with it.
You don't plan on, can you say that part again?
I don't plan on having children after this because I don't want to have another situation like this happen.
Have you ever had a pet in your life? An animal that you cared for? So you see your ex-boyfriend as a bad influence and a risk.
Yes.
Where is this person and how will you avoid contact?
He lives in Middletown. I just don't plan on. I haven't contacted him for months. I just don't plan on having any contact. I just don't want to deal with it.
Not planning on having contact is different than planning on not having contact. Would you agree?
Yes.
So maybe you could think that through. Where will you get mental health supports in the community?
Community Health Care Center,
Where's that?
Middletown.
So you want a halfway house in either Hartford or New Haven. You're talking about a job in Windsor and providers in Middletown. That's a lot of, different locations that you would have to navigate. You're telling us you don't have a license, you don't have an automobile. What's your plan for?
Well, I
handling
have
those
somewhere to stay in
responsibilities?
Hartford. I have somewhere to stay in Hartford.
Uh-huh.
It's one thing.
This is your family friend?
Yes.
Okay. We haven't contacted that person. We didn't have their information. So, if so, so you have a place to stay in Hartford, but your mental health supports are in Middletown and you're looking at a job at Windsor. So I was asking what your plan is for navigating all those different locations. And then
Well, if I have
parole or probation on top of it.
if I have to find a new provider, I'll find a new provider in Hartford, if anything. Like, I know I could ask my probation officer or something for help on that.
Might help stay out of Middletown.
Yeah.
So what programs do you think there in the facility would be helpful to you?
I mean, I've been looking at going into school for a little bit. I know the anger management would probably help me out a ton. Probably voices too.
You know anything about New Thoughts?
Not really.
That's another one I would recommend. But yeah, I know you've done some anger management through the mental health unit, right?
Yeah.
And you can certainly ask your parole or probation officer about anger management out in the community, like Mr. Pohl said, you know, continuing that work on developing your own ability to regulate your emotions so that you can put your thoughts ahead of your feelings that drive your actions. Yeah. Okay, well, thank you for talking with me. I'm gonna see if Mr. Shaw has questions for you.
I do not, thank you.
Okay, all right, so at this time, we're gonna turn the hearing over to the Office of Victim Services.
Good morning, Madam Chair and board members. I have on the line the victim of this case, and she wishes to address all of you. I have requested that Liza Rivera translates for her. This will be your opportunity to speak directly to the board members, and you may begin.
Okay, buenos días, Dios les bendiga. Mi nombre es Felaki Valdez, Felangeli Valdez Mother.
Madam Chair, can you hear us?
Yes,
Thank you. Liza, are you able to translate?
Yes, good morning and God bless you. I am Felangeli Barret Valdez, mother.
Yo quería decir que yo estoy de acuerdo que le den una oportunidad a mi hija porque en todos los meses que llevamos conversando por teléfono he visto un cambio en ella. Lo que más me ha gustado a mí de ella fue que ella me dijo que ella se merecía estar ahí porque ella había hecho muchas cosas que ella sabía que estaban malas.
I just want to say that I am in favor for my daughter to have an opportunity. We have been talking for months and I have seen the change on her. And I know that she was able to realize that what she did was wrong. And one of the things that I like was that she said that she deserves to be there.
Porque ella sabe que había hecho cosas malas y que ella sabe que ella ahora entendía el valor de la familia.
She knows that what she did was wrong and now she understands the value of family.
Yo tengo una evangelista que le da clase a ella por correo. Tengo dos pastoras, la pastora Sara y Figueroa y la pastora Alejandrina, que la van a ayudar a ella a trabajar con ella cuando ella salga.
She takes some classes through the mail and there is a pastor from church that she says that she is going to help her once she is released.
Y yo sé que mi hija hizo muchas cosas que no estaban bien hechas y ella lo sabe también, muchas cosas malas, pero yo considero que una persona tiene que tener una segunda oportunidad a ver cómo ella va a ser. Ella está joven, yo sé que ella aprendió la lección porque yo lo sé, porque uno conoce sus hijos. Nosotros como madre conocemos hasta dónde pueden llegar nuestros hijos.
I know that she did a lot of things that were wrong and she knows it as well. But I think people deserve a second chance. And I know that she learned her lesson. I know it because she's my daughter. And we as parents, we know our children.
Ella tiene muchos planes para ir para la iglesia y para ir a trabajar y para cambiar su vida. Y yo creo en Dios. Yo sé que Dios transforma y cambia al hombre. Y a veces nosotros como humanos necesitamos algo así para poder ver las cosas y poder ver quién está a nuestro lado y quién no.
I know that she has plans to go to church, to work, and to change her life. God transforms people, and sometimes we need to go through things like this to understand and know who is in our side.
Mi hija ha pasado por muchas cosas malas desde niña. Ha pasado por cosas difíciles. Ha cogido mucha depresión, muchas cosas, pero yo sé, yo le creo a Dios. Yo sé que el Señor va a hacer la obra en ella.
My daughter went through a lot since she was a child. She went through depression, but I believe in God, and I know that God will work on her. Sería todo.
Y yo sé, nunca más. Yo sé que ella está joven, que ella tiene la oportunidad de arreglar su vida. Muchas gracias y Dios me lo bendiga mucho.
I know that she is young and she can change her life. Thank you so much, and God bless you all.
Thank you. We appreciate the input. All right, Ms.
Eliza.
Barrett Valdez, we're going to discuss your case. Mr. Pope.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this is an incredibly interesting case. We're looking at criminal history. There's not a lot there. However, so, these offenses were not minor by any means. The important thing is that Ms. Barrett Valdez has come in since her incarceration in 24. She really she's in a really bad place, racking up 10 DRs in 2024, and wound up in the core program that she spoke about, where she's had one DR in the last 6 months, 6 months ago. And that's an important thing to understand, that there's the opportunity to change.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I got it.
The programming, that's what she's had the opportunity to do and actually display that. And certainly the OAP is looking for voice in anger management. I asked questions related to that. It was, she understood. She came out and started to talk about that to begin with. The victim in the case has stayed in contact while incarcerated, and has seen the change in her daughter herself, and how there's some maturity that's there in questioning. She was very reactionary when things were happening here. It was something would happen and she'd feel threatened, or she'd feel whatever, and immediately lash out, and that's what she carried to inside. And that appears to have changed the core program. My concern is that it continue to be the case when she gets out. And she's dealing with some challenges where connection to mental health would be very important to continue on the path that she's on. As well as engage in things like anger management outside. There's anger management inside, which she appears to have had some of, based on the core program and what you talked about they do in there, and making different choices. But coming out here, being able to be in an anger management so that you can address things that are going on in her life while not incarcerated is important. She also is scattered somewhat in what in lining things up, as you pointed out, in questioning, about plan to live here, plan to work here, plan, and there's definitely some miles between those three things, which having the support and guidance of somebody in the community that's a parole probation officer would help. Honestly, reading this case coming in, I felt a certain way, and that way was that I thought that Ms. Barrett Valdez needed to stay until August of next year, and now more open to having a discussion based on what we've experienced this morning as to actually where she'd be best served, given her, criminal history. It's one kind of conspiracy to commit larceny for. So I'm interested in what both of you have to say after this.
Well, the crimes are incredibly concerning. They could have had much more dire outcomes for the community. Lots of people could have been impacted. And it wasn't for lack of effort on her part, because the fires were set so intentionally. We didn't unpack why she had a protective order put against her involving her mom. So there was something that preceded that, which is why she wasn't living with her mom and perhaps acting out when she hit some of these emotional crises in her life. So I agree that we're seeing some important change, some maturation, some insight into herself, into her choices. I'd like to see additional programming to have confidence that she has tools, that she has an ability to regulate her emotions, which her struggle with that is what directly contributed to the crimes she's serving this sentence for. And I wish we'd heard a more robust relapse prevention plan. I think her priorities are interesting. But I don't think she's got it worked out. I mean, I know when she talked to the parole officer, she had thought about manufacturing her warehouse. And we hear today that she has a friend who works in a factory, but she hasn't even talked to a friend about how to go about getting a job at the factory. So there's a lot she could put in place to be ready to step out more successfully into a structured plan. So I would like to see her take additional programming and develop her plan for release before I feel confident in granting parole. So, Mr. Chakra?
I would have loved to get to a yes vote here. She's very young, not a long criminal history. Just the nature of these convictions, including the cruelty charge, it's very, very concerning. You add all the DRs and no programs really to address those needs. I don't think I can support, especially parole, say.
Any other thoughts, Mr. Cole?
The in terms of what you said with anger management, what I looked at here was that we haven't had a DR since March after having 10 in 2024. And so she appears to be
Turning that
handling
Mhm.
anger management in there. It's the anger management in the community that I think is going to be a challenge. Although on the Werner, the highest was anger and hostility in terms of need.
Mhm.
So are you suggesting we bring her back in a certain period of time, or you're suggesting that we just let things take its course and she's not been reviewed for community release? But with the third charge, I don't think that she's going to get granted that. So I think it's either deny and here to give her the opportunity on parole, or if it's a deny, it's going to be going out on probation. That's going to end a sentence in August and then being released from prison and with a date to show up to see her parole officer. So I don't know.
I hadn't really given any thought to a rehear because it's, now we're down to 11 months, but I would be amenable to hearing her 6 months before her end of sentence. To give her that possible transition with halfway house, getting her mental health needs set up in the community. I mean, part of what we're facing here with her is that she wasn't sentenced until March. So we don't have a signed OAP, but it would have been April at the earliest that would have been completed. And then, I'm not sure with clearing of the DRs and everything, how that also kept her out of programming.
Yeah.
I would be amenable to a rehear, in January. That would be.
That gives her some time to take voices in anger management.
New thoughts.
Your thoughts like that?
And develop a release plan, which, should be far more specific.
I
Are
think that
you interested in that?
I'm going to be a straight denial.
Okay. All right. So right now, the reasons I have for denial are inadequate program participation, inadequate release plan, and poor institutional adjustment. So in the matter of Alonze Barrett Valdez, inmate number 447488, there's a motion to deny parole at this time due to inadequate program participation, inadequate release plan, and poor institutional adjustment. Do I have a second?
second.
All in favor?
I
We are going to rehear you in January and give you another opportunity. So please pursue programming, things on your OAP, but also other opportunities. And work to develop a specific release plan. Okay?
Okay,
All right. Take care and good luck.
thank you.
This concludes.
There is just something, it's quite interesting. I was just curious. I put in my AI bot, whether you use ChatGPT, Grok, whatever, just put in this. What's the FBI profile for someone who kills their family pets and burns down their loved ones' things? And it's got a whole profile there. I mean, it's the type of profile that is watched, and it's scary, it's dangerous, and it goes on to say that it tends to escalate with age and become more violent and the whole thing. And I'm not going to read over it with you, but if you're curious, you can go check yourself. And Who else jaw dropped to the floor when she said, I learned my lesson. I won't have children again. I'll never have another child. She literally cannot take accountability. She literally does not understand what those words mean, how everybody else perceives her and sees her the moment she utters those words. She is blaming the death of her child, which, dear God, I'm afraid to ask for the circumstances around that. I really am. If anyone's spidey senses can just perk up and say, oh my God, that poor child. Now, it's just, of course, it's just my opinion. It doesn't, my thoughts. Let's make that clear. And then you hear from the mother, and I know it's very easy to say, well, you can't, a mother's going to love their child, and a mother, but I just couldn't help but feeling like, is this daughter the creation of this mother who just, to a certain point, just let her get it. It was like I was seeing, and again, that could not be, I understand how that's not fair, because there's the whole, nature versus nurture thing. And I've seen plenty of people who have siblings that are raised great, and there's just one black sheep in the family that is just horrible. It has nothing to do with how you're raised. But and it seemed that her mother had a restraining order on her already, which means, she would have put things in court, right? But I don't know. So maybe I just don't go there. But I felt like I was seeing, still to this day, this woman sitting here for parole was reliving her as a child. And she puts on, when the second the cat comes up, and she's not taking accountability. She says, oh, the cat was found dead behind the trash can, and my mother said I did it. And they said, well, did he do it? And then she says, oh, I'm back in the corner. I know I need to be honest to get parole. So let's turn on the waterworks. And she turns it on as if she was that 5-year-old girl all those years ago doing the same thing to her mother. And it was fake. It was 100% fake, in my opinion. And she's good at it. You got to give her credit. She has been mastering the art of fake crying her entire life. And if you had any doubt, and then it's at the end, I'll never have a baby again. And it's just like, what are you talking about? And it's even in the way that she describes burning the vehicle down or burning the house. So, well, the vehicle, I was angry with the house, I was cold. And really what I think is going on, because we don't get the clear picture, but I think her mother had a restraining order on her. And she's, her boyfriend kicks her out of the house, her house. She's left alone. So what does she do? She wants to go back to her mother, but her mother can't have her. The restraining order. So she lights the thing on fire. She got pleasure out of it. See, and even now she still thinks, she's still playing this game. If you heard, this is what I heard, when she says, yeah, there are repercussions for my actions. Now my mother's getting old and I can't help her. And it's like as if she was saying it to her mother. See, Mom, it's your fault. Look at your punishment because of your actions, because you got the restraining order on me, because you kicked me out of the house. I can't help you. That's how I saw it. She's dangerous. And I just, there are reasons to show this. I think it's just, it paints a picture of what someone with that empathy actually is. It paints a picture that I don't think one can ever possibly learn this in a college school book or in any type of curriculum that you're getting to understand people without empathy. This is what I think is it, right? You can study every infamous serial killer to which everyone does, right? They all study the same infamous serial killers. But I think you really want to get a taste. Just look at the lady in prison who killed their cat and lit their stuff on fire. This paints the picture. So she'll be back and we'll cover her. And I almost forgot, of course, we have the new parole board member. They hired 2 new parole board members. And if you see, I'm going through some of the older hearings, and there's a long story that I can't get into. But anyways, this new parole board member, I'm not gonna talk. I'm going to have to see their actions versus their careers, right? Before I start, I don't want to say judging them, but maybe critiquing them. The little bit that we saw from this guy is that he said no, right? Well, meanwhile, Michael Pohl was still trying to talk his way into granting. He has just one write-up in the last 3 months or 5 months. So it wasn't Aileen, it was Alex. Alex was appointed by the Connecticut Board of Pardons and Paroles in May 2025. He was previously served as Executive Director of Connecticut Sentencing Commission, where he led the commission on its mission to review pretrial sentencing and post-conviction policies and made policy recommendations to the Connecticut General Assembly. Prior to joining the commission, Mr. Tarskov worked for the judicial branch of the Court-Supported Services Connecticut General Assembly. He worked on numerous issues affecting the state's criminal legal system, including bail reform, diversionary programs, and narcotic-free zone. Again, just by looking at this, it makes me nervous on like bail reforms, okay, diversionary programs. We all know how well that stuff works, right? Disenfranchisement, competency to stand trial, minimum. So it's like it seems like he's an advocate for the perp. But again, it's not fair. Let's see his actions in the parole room before we make jump to judgment. Maybe he passed really great policies. We haven't looked at the data. We just know I just have a bad taste in my mouth by reading this. This is not like the kind of person you really want out on a parole board, right? But again, who knows? Mr. Tarskov holds a master's degree in public. At least he's qualified in the sense of understanding the system versus like Mike Paul, who's just a history teacher for what, 5th graders. I think that's his background. So, anyways, there you have it. It never ceases to shock me when you see those. But that's why we show it. And one more thing, right? Yeah, before I let you go, I see some of you writing, Mandoo, I didn't know you were still posting. I'm so happy that I searched your channel because I thought you stopped posting. And I post every Sunday through Thursday without missing. Okay. And I'm usually also posting Friday, Saturday. So there's 2 channels. That could be one. Make sure you're subbed to both, and make sure you click the notification bell to all. If you really, but I'm always posting. I'm not going anywhere. So there you have it. And with that, I'll let you go.
Well, they found a dead cat behind the trash can, and my mom said that I killed it.
Okay. And were you involved in the death of the cat?
Yes.
Why?
I was going through a rough time. It was a rough period in my life. Like, I just lost a child. My ex was cheating on me. It was a lot to go through. And I wasn't sure how to cope with it. So I kind of just went on a rampage. I just can't deal with it.
You don't plan on, can you say that part again?
I don't plan on having children after this because I don't want to have another situation like this happen.